everyone. I'm Ellie. I am the network leader for the Research and Scholarship Connections network with the Teaching, Scholarship and Learning Knowledge Community with NAFSA. My day job is at Wake Forest University in North Carolina, where I work in international admissions. And I've been in the field of international education for about 15 years now, mostly in roles connected with international admissions.
Yes. Yeah, I'm Brian Sealstead, and so yeah, I'm the coordinator of the Intercultural Communications Engagement Subcommittee, and that's a lot of fun. We've focused on trying to keep the NAFSA networks lively with different discussions and maintain various resources, but mainly it's a joy to keep working on the overall, TLS knowledge community with Ellie and the chairs and others. And my day job is at Al Akhawain University in Ifran, Morocco. This is a Moroccan public university that follows the American system. So although I'm not Moroccan, I'm American, but I have lived and worked in Morocco off and on since about 2005. And my, let's say, formal work in international education probably started in 2018, 2019, when I was the associate director of the Office of International Programs at Akhawain, and now I've been the director since 2021.
So just to give you all kind of an overview of what we're planning to do today, the purpose of this session really is to introduce some of the opportunities that are available to you for engagement with NAFSA through the TLS knowledge community, and to introduce these three wonderful people that you can see on the screen right now, who were the winners of our Next Generation Strategy Challenge at the NAFSA conference in San Diego. They will introduce themselves a little bit later. And then, once we've shared some kind of basic information with you about what TLS is and what those opportunities for involvement are, we'll move to breakout rooms where you'll be able to really connect with each other and discuss, some of the interests or questions you might have concerning TLS, concerning those opportunities for publication, for conference proposals, and to get to know each other a little bit of networking. And then, we're open to questions throughout. So if at any point you have any questions you'd like to ask us, please post them in the chat. So what is TLS? TLS is the Teaching, Learning and Scholarship Knowledge Community. So I'm not sure how familiar or involved you may have been with NAFSA, but basically NAFSA is a huge organization encompassing the whole of international education, very broadly defined, anything from education abroad to international student services. So one of the ways that NAFSA kind of breaks itself down into more accessible categories or groups is by knowledge community. So teaching, learning and scholarship is one of those. I think there are 5 or 6, maybe I've got that wrong, knowledge communities. And what we're about is kind of summarized here. So cross-cultural competence, curriculum internationalization, faculty development, and scholarly research in international education. But, one of the things I think is most attractive about the TLS knowledge community is that it's kind of overarching. So it has connections into all of the other knowledge communities. And you can be a member of or identify with more than one of these knowledge communities. So for example, if you work in education abroad, if you work in ISS, you might also have interest in intercultural learning for students or in research in your area of international education. So I think that's, and maybe Brian, you want to add something about that here as well.
Yes, of course. I mean, maybe my own personal thing is, I have a PhD in education, and when I first came to NAFSA, like many people, it can be a bit overwhelming. And I remember feeling to myself, where do I think I belong? What's the place to be? And I remember thinking, okay, well, I have this background in education. Maybe I'll check out this teaching, learning, and scholarship community. And so, I went to the first, welcome meeting that, all the KCs have a welcome meeting. And I just went to the TLS, and I just found it to be a very lovely community. And I sort of stuck there, at least for the last bit. Yes, I'm interested and work with other KCs in different ways. But what I would say about it is, again, like Ellie said, it does cut across all the KCs because, we create and sort of facilitate research and learning across all of the different KCs. But I think at a very personal level, if you're looking for a place to start your engagement with NAFSA, it is a very welcoming spot, and one that I think where you could jump into a role, whether as a volunteer or leader in a really nice way. It is not, I think it's fair to say, the biggest knowledge community, but it is
But
one that
maybe
is
that's a good thing,
exactly, yeah,
right?
but
That it's a bit
it is
smaller.
very active. All the knowledge communities, and really just say it's not the biggest. I'm not saying it's big at all. I mean, all the knowledge communities have a lot of people involved. So I would say that it's just a place where, and if you're here today, you must have some interest in this intersection of working, research to practice, scholar practitioner kind of aspects. And I would say that we feed that, and then each one will lead into other areas of engagement with NAFSA throughout your journey in international education.
So some of the easiest and most obvious opportunities to get involved with NAFSA are through the annual conference. So I don't know how many of you may have attended the recent conference in San Diego, but basically the applications for submitting a proposal for next year's conference are currently open. So there are different types of session that you can propose. There are regular sessions, there are workshops. The deadline for both of those is August 27th, so that's coming up pretty soon. And there are poster proposals, and that has a bit more of an extended deadline, so not until November 21st. There is actually an event next week coming up on July 29th, which we've highlighted here, on how to submit a successful proposal. So I'm actually going to attend that. And uh, even if you're not thinking of necessarily submitting a proposal right now, I think that would be, a really good way to learn a bit more about what's required in the proposal, what they're looking for, and how you might go about that. Another opportunity, even if you're not ready to submit a proposal to present at the conference, is actually to be a peer reviewer on proposals that are submitted. And that is open to anyone. And the deadline is July 31st. And if you just go to that link, you should be able to find the reviewer sign up. Sorry, there was something else I was going to, oh yeah. So in my experience, the poster sessions in particular are a really good entry point to presenting at NAFSA if you're new to doing that. And I have done that. I did that 2 years ago, I guess. And basically, yeah, you need to go to the website and read the details of that. But they break up the poster sessions into different topic areas. And so you can find, what you're most aligned with. And you've got until November 21st, so you've got some time. And those can be done individually or in pairs or in groups. Brian, do you want to add anything about session proposals or posters?
I would just say that again at a personal level, when my first NAPS I just attended, right? And you sort of go around and do the best to network and so on. But I have definitely found that being involved with any of these things, obviously if you present or do a workshop, that's wonderful, and you're definitely going to meet a lot of people. But the posters I've ran or co-organized the research in international education posters the last I think 2 or 3 years, and it's been wonderful to get to know people through that. And even if I don't get to know them personally, I get to know their work. One year, I was very inspired by one of the posters that I reviewed and reached out to the person, and we became colleagues, and we met at a NAFSA because I liked their work so much. So it's just a good way to get in, especially when you're doing a proposal reviewing. You're definitely going to get a kind of a snapshot of what's going on in the field. And even if you review the proposals and it doesn't seem that quality, you're definitely going to learn a lot. And then, probably through the conference, you'll meet or have the idea to meet or go to some of the sessions that you reviewed. And it's just a way to make the conference, I think, a little bit more alive. And of course, you're more engaged and you get acknowledged too for your work as doing any of these things, which is also nice.
Yeah, I mean, definitely there are sort of steps in terms of engagement, and I think being a reviewer is a great, really easy first step just to learn more about what the sessions involve or what the posters involve before you take that next step yourself to actually submit a poster or submit a session proposal. So I would agree with that. So moving on. Um, So a couple of other review and publication opportunities. I'm actually going to ask Melissa Watley. I think you're here, Melissa, right? To speak about the Global Studies Literature Review. Oh no, she can't put her camera on at this point. Is that right? Oh, okay. No
Okay.
worries. She may be muted and the system won't let her unmute right now. No worries.
There,
The,
that
Go
worked.
on.
Whoever gave me permission.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Oh, and I can turn on my video now. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much, Melissa.
Yeah. So sorry, can you tell me what you're asking me to
Yeah,
talk
if you just
about? I
want,
was with the
yeah, if
tech,
you
I
just want
was
to
trying to figure that out.
talk a bit about what the Global Studies Literature Review is and ways to get involved with that.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So the Global Studies Literature Review, and I've got the website pulled up here. Let me grab the link and I can put it into the chat. So this is a peer-reviewed publication. It focuses on thought leadership. We publish two different kinds of publications. The first type is essays, and there's 1 to 2 essays in each issue of the Global Studies Literature Review. These are really thought pieces that are intended to address current issues in the field. And then the second kind of publication that we do are book reviews. And again, these are supposed to be about recently published books. They're a bit shorter than an essay, but they are again intended to address really current issues in the field. Each issue of the Global Studies Literature Review revolves around a theme. And so the theme of this upcoming issue is crafting international education for the unpredictable. The theme is related to the annual conference theme each year. And so sometimes we'll take one piece of the conference theme and turn that into the theme of the issue of the Global Studies Literature Review. And then sometimes it is a bit more holistic. And yes, Sean is reminding everyone in the chat that I'm the current editor of the Global Studies Literature Review. I'm not sure if anyone said that. So right now we're currently accepting ideas for this next upcoming issue of the Global Studies Literature Review that will be published in the spring, near the end of spring, I guess, aligned with the annual conference in May. And so the idea submission deadline is September 15th. You can go to the website that I linked in the chat and read the call for submissions. But the idea submission is really, it's just a few sentences about what you're thinking that you might want to submit. And I will give you feedback on that idea. So, I'll say like, this sounds great, but you might think about this other thing. Or I'll tell you, that doesn't really align with this, but have you thought about this other thing? And eventually we'll say like, yes, this sounds like a great idea. I would love to see the full draft of what you're thinking. So that is September 15th. The other deadlines are listed on the website. I won't go through all of them. There's a number of them, but the first full draft would be due October 1st. So that tells you a little bit about the timeline that we're looking at. Another way to be involved in the global studies literature, and Ellie, this goes back to what you were saying about the conference, is that you can sign up to be a peer reviewer. And that is a really great way to learn a bit more about the submission types and what we're looking for, while not submitting something yourself the first time around. So if you want to become more familiar with the global studies literature, in addition to reading the past issues, of course, you could also serve as a peer reviewer to get a feel for what we're looking for. So I'll be here for the rest of the session. I'm glad to answer any questions, but that's the general overview of the global studies literature review.
Thanks so much, Melissa. Really appreciate that. And so also on this slide, we have the Innovative Research in International Education Award, and there are opportunities both for submission and to be a peer reviewer, kind of sensing a theme here. But you can either be a reviewer or you can submit, or you can do both, in fact. So this award celebrates and recognizes new and innovative research from any discipline that demonstrates a potential or proven impact in the field of international education. And those submissions should be peer-reviewed publications, either a journal article or a chapter in an edited book. And then again, the review opportunities. You can sign up to review those submissions. And actually, if you go to the website for this award, you can read the winner of this year's competition, which is a wonderful article, and encourage you to read that. Brian, did you want to add anything on any of these before I move on?
No, I think this is firmly, I mean, in your sort of your subcommittee area, but yeah, it's just exciting to be part of these things. And again, you'll by doing this stuff, you get a sense of what's happening in the field at multiple levels, especially for the Innovative Research Award. You see really what's some of the most exciting stuff going on in the field when you are a reviewer for that.
Absolutely. So then I could talk a little bit about our two networks, which are kind of online discussion forums. Um, there are currently two. I believe that may change in the future, but currently there are two: curriculum internationalization and intercultural training, and the research and scholarship connections. So you can find these under network.nafsa, and you can join, as many of them as you like. You can set your preferences to receive updates on messages that are posted there daily or weekly, or every time a message is posted, if you want to get that many emails. And basically, these are opportunities to both stay informed. We post a lot of information and updates there about what's going on, about opportunities in these areas, but also to engage yourself with others in the same areas. Anything you wanted to add on that, Brian?
Again, just about sort of staying current. I mean, what we,
Yeah.
at least I can say with my subcommittee, what we do a lot of it is seated discussions where we, and also the other subcommittee that Anjum puts together, we post a lot of discussion topics that come from our committee, and we sort of, yes, we're kind of putting them out there because we're interested in them, but we try to put them out there, and then people read and they can comment, and then there's just a very lively discussion. That's a way of keeping the discussion lively, and everybody obviously is involved to and invited to participate. They can even, put up their own discussion topics. But I think just by going there, again, you'll find a lot of discussion topics that are going to give you a sense of what's going on in the field, what are people concerned about, what's happening, who are even some of the people who are very engaged in these issues that are happening in our area. So it's fun. It's very, again, one said, relatively low bar. I mean, this is a discussion forum, a place where you can get involved easily, and it goes beyond the TLS, as Ellie said. I mean, this is all the different knowledge communities have a lot. If you're not on Network NAFSA in general, you definitely should get on Network NAFSA because it's a good place to connect and work with different people across NAFSA.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then so finally we come to open volunteer positions. So, we're always recruiting for additional or new volunteers for some of the open positions with the KCs, and especially with the TLS KC. It looks like they will be updated in September, what the open positions are. I know there will be a few open positions on some of these subcommittees within teaching, learning, and scholarship. So the kind of role descriptions are laid out there, so you can have a look, what it involves, what kind of commitment would that be? Would that be a good fit for me? And then you can apply. So yeah, anything you want to add on that, Brian?
Just again, there's various layers here. So if
Yeah.
you join as like a member of a subcommittee, like if you're joining the ICT subcommittee that I currently lead, what's the expectation? You'll probably have at least a quarterly meeting, maybe more often, and then you'll be working on some of these things that we're doing right now, the seated discussions, providing feedback on different TLS activities and so on. So the subcommittee membership is, again, maybe a little bit lower. You don't have to be quite as engaged, but it is something that you would probably say, I don't know, a couple hours a month of engagement, maybe a bit more, depending on how your subcommittee works. And then, of course, the leading that is part of the broader leadership committee is a little bit more involved, or the chair stream and all that other kind of stuff. But it's a good way to start. I started as a member of the ICT subcommittee, and I did that for a couple of years before I became the chair of it. So it's a nice way to be to involve and just kind of lead into maybe more involvement over time.
Definitely. And yeah, I would just add that, so I'm very new to this volunteer role. This is my first volunteer role with NAFSA, and I've been in it since January this year. But even now, I would really recommend it just as a way to get to know other people throughout the KC and learn more about, what's going on at NAFSA. As I said, going in through the KCs, in this case, the TLS KC, is just a good entry point to understand what NAFSA has to offer. So I'm learning a lot every day just from being involved in this role. And I think it's also an important point to make that, as Brian was saying, there are different levels of engagement. So depending on, how much time you feel you have or how experienced you are in the field, there's something for everyone, basically, in terms of getting involved, both with these volunteer roles at a lower level, at a slightly more involved level, and with the review and publishing opportunities that we were talking about before as well. So moving on, Next Generation Strategy Development Challenge. I'll hand over to you,
I can
Brian,
take
to
this
talk
on
about
since
this.
I've had a chance to kind of get it going. So very kind of briefly, so the Next Gen Challenge grew out of the regional meetings where there was a case study competition. And so this has been sort of rebranded to be something at the level of the annual conference. We've done it now for 2 years. It's a lot of fun. So this is a great activity for people who are, especially as we say here, students, early career professionals, first timers to participate in. And the whole idea of the Next Gen Strategy Challenge, and we're lucky to have the winners of this year's event with us today, is to give kind of a case study or a scenario where you are put in the situation, generally speaking, where you're asked to imagine that you're a part of or a leader in internationalization at a fictional university, and then you are asked to respond to some kind of challenge or issue, like, for example, the provost really wants to boost international student recruitment, or they want to boost internationalization, or there's this crisis, or there's such and such a thing. We've only had two, so we haven't had like a really crazy range of scenarios, but the whole idea is just to put people in a situation where they're part of a team in internationalization or a leader of a team or an SIO, and then they are thinking about how to respond to some kind of scenario. So we can move to the next slide. Perfect. All right. Good. So today's we have with us, and they can turn on their cameras. We have Maria Del Mar Aranda and Monet Moreau and Justin Sleppy. These were the 2025 winners. Do you guys want to turn on your cameras and everything? I think you. Okay, awesome. Good. I hope you all can see them. So we want to spend maybe the next 10 or 5 or 10 minutes just to get their perspective on how the thing went. So I guess my first question to you all, and again, just to put you in the picture, and we put in front of them, this challenge where they had a scenario. We're not going to spend time getting into the specifics of the scenario and what they responded. We want to know more about their experience. But Maria or Monet or Justin, can you just tell me like what drew you to participate in the Next Gen Challenge in general?
I can start. I don't mind starting. Hello, everyone.
Right.
um,
And please introduce yourselves briefly
yes.
too.
Hi, my name is Maria Del Mar. I'm an international student. I'm a Fulbright student at UMBC, the University of Maryland, Baltimore County. I'm from Spain, and I'm currently doing my master's in intercultural communication, and I'm also doing getting my TESOL certificate for teaching English. And so what drew me to participate in this challenge was I love the idea of being able to connect with others I could relate with, whether that were like young professionals or early career. I'm a student myself, so fellow students like Justin. Also something that was hands-on. I feel like many times sessions are interactive, but this was like fully interactive, right? Like it was us who made it. So I love how practical that was. Yeah, and even the idea of having to like do a public speaking practice, I love, especially English not being my first language. I feel like I always have to push myself to just get out there.
Awesome, good. But Justin or Monet, what got you into it?
Hi everybody. My name is Justin Sleppy. So I'm currently a student at the SIT Graduate Institute. I'm pursuing my master's in international education, and I'm currently interning at Pomona College. I think actually that background tells a little bit about like why I came into this. So I went to NAFSA to kind of really dive into the field of international education for the first time and really meet with queer professionals after having done 2 semesters of a lot of like I guess coursework and to kind of prepare like on paper what does the field look like, what kind of situations might you see, what opportunities are out there in the field. And NAFSA really was the first time where I got to then speak to other professionals and see firsthand, like, what are your experiences in the field? Like, where'd you come from? What do you do? What does the future look like? And for the next gen competition or next gen strategy development competition, um, it was really an opportunity to look at this situation where a lot of these more experienced professionals, right, would look at it and have, I feel like, very knowledgeable, very informed approaches. And for myself, at least, coming in as a newcomer to NAFSA and in the field as well, it was really fun and daunting because I got to kind of look at this from a novel, with some novel approaches and say, okay, how can we attempt to address this case study in ways that maybe haven't been seen before, or maybe ways that might be a little off the beaten path because we're new to the field. And I thought it was a really interesting and fun way to kind of engage with NAFSA and the rest of the members there. So yeah, no, it was really fun, really exciting. I was really glad for the opportunity to kind of challenge myself in that way and kind of have this natural continuation of the coursework that I was conducting or kind of completing in the semesters prior.
Awesome, thanks. How about you, Monet? What drew you to it? How'd you like that experience?
Yeah. Well, hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Monet Moreau. I'm the Global Strategies Officer for the Americas with the University of Texas at Austin. So if anyone is in Texas, please send me a little chat and we can definitely connect. But it was also my first time at NAFSA. And I came along with my team from UT Austin. And so on our side, it was more about making those connections with our institutional partners that were also attending the conference. But I also wanted to step out of that and focus also on my professional development. And so this challenge really caught my attention because of the description. And I mean, I always love a challenge, a competition. So I said, let's go for it. This will be my way to step out of what I was going to, or my focus was for NAFSA. And I was very honored and blessed to have been a part of an amazing team and to get to know all these early career professionals or students. And it was just really nice. We had different ideas and we came together to kind of, I guess, as Justin was saying, out of the box or maybe off the beaten path, just new ideas. And so it was very nice to get to meet and learn from all of these other people from different backgrounds. So that's what really drew me to this challenge, stepping out of my comfort zone and taking that step for some professional development.
Thanks. I think we have time for maybe one more question. My question to you, I mean, the intention of this, activity is really to help enhance a person's NAFSA, to make it a more engaged conference. And I mean, I'm hopeful that was achieved. And I would just like to know, obviously you can't know what your NAFSA was like without having participated, but how can you kind of imagine, how was your conference different because you participated in the event? What were some things that you did maybe differently than you might have done otherwise? And in general, just, how did the event, I hope, enhance your conference in certain ways?
I can start off with that one. I think if whoever has attended NAFSA or those who have not, it is a beast on its own. There's many things going on, many people walking around, different languages being spoken. And I am currently not a student, but I missed that aspect of, the hustle and bustle. And we got together as a group. I think like throughout the week we were in contact, constantly doing our research, and we just got together to put this presentation. And it was just really nice to get away from that craziness. So I think that was just an amazing experience. And then, like I said, we came together and got it done. We had some really good ideas. But I didn't know if Maria or Justin wanted to also speak on that. So.
Well, I can totally relate with what when I was saying that it's especially like I was also I'm a student. It was my first time at NAFSA as well, so I felt very intimidated by all these professional people who have been doing this for many years. So being able to connect again with someone I can relate a bit more, and someone I could see, like I could have a sense of place, no? And also because I felt more comfortable, I asked, like, just by listening to Monet and Justin, who were a bit more knowledgeable about the field, I learned so much, but also I was comfortable enough to make a lot of questions, right? So that was great for me, because then by working with them, I just gained a lot of knowledge. One thing that I wish I had done more, and it's a note to myself and note to everyone to anyone who's thinking of doing this maybe next year, is that I wish I had engaged more with other professionals and used the challenge as an excuse to connect with them and be like, hey, I'm doing this challenge. I would love to hear what your ideas could be. Yeah, I wish I had done that, but still, I learned so much from just working with Justin and Monet that I feel so grateful for the opportunity, and it was a great experience.
Yeah, but no, and I completely agree with that. Like so I felt very privileged to come back from my semester in Spain and kind of jump right into the NAFSA conference. Like I hopped on a plane like I think 3 days after I got back to the US, head down to San Diego, and I had not even met the team at Pomona yet, which is where I was interning. And so it was kind of daunting to, not only meet a bunch of new faces at the conference, but also to meet the team that I'd be working with for the rest of the year. And so to kind of have some way to break the ice and also like just kind of talk about the case study, or by talking about the case study, was wonderful. So I really appreciated that the challenge was there to kind of help with the kind of connecting with the professionals. Whether that be Monet and Maria, or whether that be with my team with Mona, or whether that be with like other people at the conference. So I really liked it for that. I thought it was a great way to kind of connect with others and kind of learn from some more experienced people out there.
Awesome. Well, thank you three for sharing your perspective. I want to make sure we have some time for the breakout rooms. And again, I wanted to say what you presented was really impactful. And the only thing that makes me scared is that you guys are going to be coming for like my job and other people in the future. But honestly, on a more serious note, that gives me a lot of hope. I mean, you guys had such innovative things to say, and it was very exciting. And what are you doing with the huge cash prizes you got from the event? They got major money. No, yeah, it's big time. No, but in all seriousness, we don't have big cash prizes for it, but they are having this event now, and they're going to be writing a blog for the network NAFSA networks to share their experience as well. And then they do get a discount code for some NAFSA publications, and maybe in the future, maybe there will be big cash prizes for this event. And there were some people asking some questions in the chat, but I think that they got answered. And before we move on to the next thing, I would just say that the next gen challenge is new. We've only done it in the second year. It will definitely be there next year, and will continue to evolve. So we hope that more and more people will sign up this year. I think we had 3 teams, so it wasn't huge, but it was certainly good. We would love to have more and more people and teams. You can, at least the way it's organized now, is you can come to it without any, teams. And, the 3 people here just got, Maria and Monty, they just got put together. But in the future, we could imagine people coming to conference as a team and ready to go, like you might imagine at a debate competition or something like that. But right now, it's definitely still open, and people will come in and work on getting connected. And I hope that you can all participate in this in next year's conference in Orlando. So I think back to you, Ellie. We keep on moving through and thank you again, Maria Monet. Let's give them a hand for winning this year.
Yeah, great. So I think we're ready to move on to breakout rooms. So we don't have any specific questions or prompts for you, but this is really just a space for you to connect with each other in a kind of smaller space format, and really talk about any of your interests or concerns or questions around career and professional development in international education, about the publication or peer review opportunities that we've been talking about getting involved with submitting a proposal at the conference, or really anything else you want to talk about and connect with. Anything else you want to add to that, Brian?
No, I mean, of course, just introduce yourselves and get to know people. It's a short time, but take it as a good opportunity to meet somebody, and then we'll come back, I think, at maybe
Yeah,
about
I
10
think we'll do that for
or 5
probably
minutes.
about 10 minutes, right?
now is the time that we can kind of reflect on any big discussions that happened in the breakout rooms, because those were not recorded. They will not be included in the recording. Or if you have any questions that you'd rather have addressed in the larger group, this is also that opportunity. So feel free to unmute yourself, ask a question, type it in the chat. By way of introduction, my name is Shauna Saubert. I'm the Associate Director of Research and Scholarship at NAFSA, and I'm proud to be a staff partner to the Teaching, Learning, and Scholarship Knowledge Community. Let's see. Sorry, I have a couple windows open. Somebody asked, are there presentation matching sheets in regions? Different regions do have presentation matching forms. I also know that different KCs also have matching forms. For the TLS KC, unfortunately, that form has closed because in the past I've been told giving 15 to 20 days is not long enough for people who have never met each other to put together a conference proposal. If you want to be matched on something, please send tlskc@nafsa.org a message and we will try our best to help you out. But yeah, it really depends on the region as to whether they have the matching forms available and what their capacity is. Another question, could you provide suggestions in the process of from a student to a professional role in international education? Yes, that was a question that did come up in one of the breakout rooms. I invite anybody to respond to it beyond me. My biggest thing was make sure that your resume is updated and look for opportunities that bring you joy in a professional or personal capacity, because you never know where what you learn might be applied. For me, I actually have a background in recreation, but I found out over time that my interest in research and data and getting messages out was really helpful and could be applied in different fields. Does anybody else want to say what their thoughts are?
So I'd definitely be very happy to, provide my contact details and have any of you contact me with questions about professional development and careers in international education. On the transition from a student to a professional role in international education, I guess I can't say anything specifically about that because I didn't have a kind of a straight line into international education. Everyone has a different path. So I didn't actually study international education as such. So that was a bit more of a circuitous route, but definitely available for any questions. As also on my involvement with NAFSA and how that's helped me in professional education. I've been involved with a couple of other NAFSA programs, and not just with the TLS KC, but I did the NAFSA Academy. I've been involved with the NAFSA Trainer Corps, so I'd be happy to, connect individually with anyone to speak more about those opportunities as well.
I would say one piece of advice that I have is just say yes to all the opportunities. I can say when I was in grad school, I just applied for a grad assistant position in the International Student Office in where I was. And 2 weeks later, the director quit, and I was the only person in the office. So I was reading my immigration textbook as I was doing advising, and it could have been super intimidating and overwhelming, but I loved it. And that's how I realized I loved it. So just kind of not being afraid to dive into the deep water and just say yes. And then just another example, like related to presentations, I was matched randomly with some other TLS folks who had many, many, many years of experience, almost to the retiring point in their career. And I was still an early professional and was like, I'll sit in the background. I'll like see what you guys want to talk about. And they're like, no, we wanted you in the group because you have a different perspective. And so sharing that can be really, really helpful and really important. So just say yes.
And maybe I'll just add on to what's going on in the chat right now is that people in this field are often willing to talk with you and are often, if you reach out, more than happy to speak with you, give advice, be on the lookout for opportunities. So reach out via the emails, reach out to us via LinkedIn. And I think we're happy to provide those opportunities or speak with you about them.
Thank you all. That's great advice. I couldn't have said it any better. I want to especially give a shout out to Brian and Ellie for leading today's event. I'm only upset that we don't have more time to talk, because I know a lot of people in this world have virtual meetings that they have to get from one place to the next. So we don't want to overstay our welcome, so to speak. Thank you all for joining us today. If you have any questions, please reach out to tlskc@nafsa.org. There have been a lot of emails saved in the chat. And as always, connect with us in any way that you wish to. Thank you all and have a great day.
Thanks so much, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining, and keep your eye out for other events coming up throughout the year.